Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It is Tuesday, December 14th at 10:30 a.m. And I wanted to react a little bit to buzz on Twitter and Golden Black and other places. First off, I didn't put a post up there, and I think it's worthy of a post in itself that David Bell and George Karlaftis were both named All-Americans to a bunch of different teams. Most noteworthy, I think I read two different sources saying that Karlaftis was second or third team in the AP and David Bell was first team in the AP. That's obviously the biggest one. That's the most noteworthy All American team you can be on. Being on the AP media voted All American team, that's a big deal. And for both of them to be All Americans the same year, it's the first time since 1982, I believe, two Purdue football players have been on the same All-American team. That's a big deal. Before I go any further, let me thank our sponsors, Martin Vintage, martinvintage.com. Enter Boiled at checkout for 15% off. And also Gridiron Metalworks, enter 15% off for, or enter Boiled 15% off there. And then, of course, AJ's, eataj's.com. Thank you for their sponsorship and their support. Appreciate them. They're all Purdue families, Purdue people, Purdue businesses. So, but I wanted to react also because there's a bunch of things happening on Twitter right now, and part of it I reacted to some silly comments, some I think kind of ill-minded comments about how we should react to the team and the announcement after Karlaftis and Bell were officially All-Americans and all that stuff was put to bed and the dust had settled. We heard from Brom yesterday after practice in the practice report that Karlaftis and Bell are not practicing with the team and won't be traveling to Nashville. And also Plummer is taking his visits and he won't be practicing with the team or traveling to Nashville. And I'm a little shaky on understanding if Horvath, I believe Horvath is not playing as well. That's a lot of important parts. Not playing. It's not unprecedented for Purdue's football team to deal with being shorthanded or being down a man because of injury. We've seen that before. We can go back not very far to think about what life is like without those players. It's not as good, obviously. Horvath was injured for a big chunk of the season. We were down, when I say we, Purdue football was down, both Horvath and Bell for the Illinois game. I think that's the only game they were both out. Purdue was down George Karlaftis much of last season due to COVID, and I think he had an injury as well. I think they were back-to-back. So this isn't something that's hard to put our heads around, not having those players there. Jack Plummer, of course, different thing. Jack tried to give the old college try and play with the team, even though he was on the road to exit anyway. And that I thought that was interesting and unusual that a guy said, okay, I'm going to transfer, but I'll be there if you guys need me as a backup or whatever. And then sounds like Jeff Brom and he had conversations that the demand of taking visits was just too much for a guy to keep practicing because, he's trying to figure out what he's going to do next year. So Purdue is down four guys. Three of them are current starters and absolutely imperative. We're imperative to Purdue getting 8 wins. And then the fourth is a guy that was a starter at the beginning of the season. John Younger says, Alemo, please don't leave. Okay, let me go next step on that. I don't want any of these guys to leave. Like, this is the thing. Every Purdue player, every athlete, every person who goes to Purdue, students alike, has the ability to choose to leave at any time. Okay, that's the first thing. Let's give the givens out of the way. Anybody can go at any time, and that's why I love kind of savoring when you have something special. I think these players are clearly special. Like I said, I referenced it's the first time since '82 you've had 2 Purdue football players being named to the AP All-American team. That's a big deal. And I also feel like we didn't get to see enough of these 2 guys. I mean, obviously only 3 years. This is kind of the deal now. A lot of players go pro after their 3rd year, especially really, really talented guys. Both these guys are going to be good pros. They're both going to be drafted highly. And so it's completely normal for a player to leave after his 3rd year. The hard thing that I have with this is I think we saw Karlaftis play in like 2 or 3 games last year. We saw him this full year, which is great. We saw Bell play. He was down, 2 games this year. We saw Horvath was out for big chunks if you want to put him with those guys. The other 2 are obviously upper level talent, meaning they're going to go in the first 2 rounds. Horvath, probably, I'm guessing like 6th or 7th round type guy. He's a guy that can do a lot because he played linebacker coming in. He could play special teams. I think he'll be important to a team. And Plummer made his decision to go on, and I get it. Like I told you guys, if you watch this podcast, I get it. I get all of it. But at the same time, I want to see guys that I really like playing in black and gold as long as they can. And so when they decide to do something else, I'm like, tag nabbit. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, I'm happy about it? No, like, congratulations to them, doing big things, going to the next phase. But at the same time, their teammates are going to have a hard time filling in for them. And I'm not the only one here watching this. I'm sure many of you guys out there have tickets to the game. I've got tickets to the game in Nashville. I'm going. Big chunk of my family's going. It's not going to be the same not having those guys play, but I'm excited to see other guys step in. Maybe Yanni will play. Maybe Dion Burks will play wide receiver. Maybe some guys will be healthy and ready. I think the Purdue receivers that were down this season, I think weren't coming back, whether it's Yassine or Rice. I think they were both done for the season. They couldn't come back. I don't know if James can play running back because of NCAA eligibility issues. I really don't know what the ruling is, if he's allowed to play. I would love to see him play running back in Nashville. It's going to take a pretty big effort to beat a team that's kind of similarly matched. Tennessee their record is similar. I think they have 7 wins. I don't have it up in front of me, but it's a home game for them, so it'll be a good crowd. And it sounds like Brom is handling the preparation for that bowl game as something to look towards the future. Extra practice, extra chance for these guys to get to know things. That's awesome for the program. It's great for the big picture. But I had an interaction with a couple people this morning. This is kind of what prompted this, that people were saying, I have a hard time supporting the team right now. There were people that are literally upset with the entire team or the entire system or something. I can't really figure out where the angst is sitting. Because Bell and Karlaftis aren't playing. And I think the problem with that idea is that you're putting your anger in the wrong place. At that point, you got to say, hey, I'm going to support the guys that are there. You're a Purdue fan, you're a Purdue alum, whatever. If you're like me, this is your favorite pastime. You love supporting the place you went to school, and it's a good way to do it. So not supporting the players that have stuck around to me is a hard thing for me to swallow. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Sorry. I don't know anybody could sell it to me that that's a right or a good thing to do, to say I'm not going to support these players because those players have decided to leave. That's an unusual thing. I'm going to be behind the football team. I'm glad they're there. I would think George Karlaftis and David Bell would absolutely be on my side of this discussion, saying, yeah, you should be rooting for those guys full-throated. You should be going after them, like really, because you want to see Purdue win. I know David and George want to see Purdue win, but they made a decision they think it's best for them and their future to go on and do other things. I respect it. I get it. But at the same time, like I said, I wish they were playing at Purdue. I'm not stoked that they decided not to play, because this is a relatively new thing that players sit out a bowl game. I think it's in the last 10 years where it really started becoming very popular. I don't begrudge them for doing it. I just want to see them play at Purdue as long as I can. It's that simple. So that's about it. I hope you have a great day. Hope you and your family are well, and I hope this kind of clears up. Maybe you can discuss below. This is something I think there are a lot of fans that have feelings on this. So I get it. I understand it. And I obviously have thought about it a little bit and wrestle with it, but I think the best thing to do is support your Boilermakers, support your squad. If you're a Purdue fan, you're a Purdue M4, you should still be all in for this team. Why not? That was a great season. 8 wins is a big deal. And it sets up for next year. AOC coming back. That's another one if I touched on that in my podcast yesterday, that's fine, but I'll do it again. AOC's coming back. That's a big deal. Another month of practice for him, and to get comfortable with the receivers that are available, that's a big deal for the future. So yeah, that's, I think all these things are positive, and good on George and David for being in the position they can go change the trajectory of their future. This is an incredible opportunity, but still, I'd love to see him play at Purdue one more time. That's about it. I hope you have a great day. God bless you. Hammer down. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.